Popping whistles by mistake there. That could have been a disaster, Johnny. Wow. Dude, we're still on YouTube. I'm sure everyone on YouTube would love to say a big, huge welcome back, man. How you doing?
I'm fine, Kev. Everything's going great here, so yeah, looking forward to the show, mate. I've missed this, the Freaky Fridays, you know what I mean? Been a while.
Good man, good man, good man. I want to thank everyone out there in chat land. Let me pull up the chat room. I've not even had a chance to look at the chat room on YouTube yet. Give me 2 secs here. Oh, well, I tell you, Scotty, I've been earning my corn as the producer tonight, right?
Oh man, dude. You want to talk about multitasking? I know
There's the chat.
I know for a fact there was a lot of multitasking going on during that first segment. So
we got there whistles. I was not gonna give up. Even if we had to get a pigeon out, send the pigeons back and forth, smoke signals, we would have got you, whistles.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Have you turned your camera off now?
No, it's still on, Kev.
Oh, I like it. There he is. Now you're sitting way miles away and I'll have to... You've put it into like studio mode instead of camera mode. I like that.
Yeah, I'm in the tropics.
Well, just leave it in the tropics or I'm going to be working constantly for the next couple hours as we shift camera views.
Whistles looks like he's about to become a missing 411 out in the forest.
Oh, listen, have you not seen the new... have you not seen this on Skype, Scott? Like, it'll do this for everyone. You can choose a background and it puts like one... Yeah, there's a courtroom. And me, Derek, and Travis and Bill Bean sat in court one night. It was hilarious, man. It was good. Skype's getting better with its video, but the audio is still really, really terrible, man.
Well, you see, Skype is trying to copy the whole NVIDIA, background thing. That seems to be the, what they're trying to do with all that, with the AI green screen stuff.
It's something the machine learning does very well. As we both see, as we take advantage of all the time, right? When we come back, we'll get Whistle's thoughts on things from outer space. It's International UFO Day, Johnny. I didn't know that, or World UFO Day. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
No, see, and me and you, we like our UFOs, eh?
Oh, definitely.
Aye.
I mean, there's been a few about, because, I mean, I think it was the Pentagon that says that the one that they filmed was definitely a UFO.
Well, I've got a slight problem with that. Unless the FAA and the aliens, there's like when you get to the Van Allen radiation belt, you turn your landing lights on to comply with FAA strobe timing. It's really considerate of them. That's all I would say. But the one that goes into the sea is a bit weird. I'll give them that much. Have you seen that one?
What one?
The one that dips into the sea.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Same speed.
That's a good one, dude.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's quite hard.
That was the one that William Cooper. Sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
I'm going to bring us back, guys. Here we go. We can do it on here. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What was that? Not crickets, but... Have you noticed, guys, that like the wildlife is changing where the Wookiee lives? Recently, they've had an infestation of crickets on planet Wookiee. I'm just saying, it's not that I get the soundboard wrong. No, it's nothing like that. Anywho, I'm heading over to the chat room, then we're getting whistles on UFOs. We love it. We have got me and Sophia over in the chat room. We've got Bam. Billy Ray. Big shout out to Billy Ray. All one. Daryl Bowles. ZX81 version 2. He's got a split personality. He's not one, not two, but three different messenger services right now. Loving it, ZX. We've got Dark Hosus, Paradoxical Anomaly. We love them around here. We also love a bit of Psycho Dave. And to everyone out there, big, huge, warm welcome. Now we can get settled. Now the real fun begins. And of course, for new people here, I just assume that everyone knows of the escapades, the adventures that myself and Johnny Whistles used to get up to back in the early days on KBS, Johnny. So we call you the Whistler. You used to have a shotgun. You would take on the robots. I was looking at Boston Dynamics robots today that you would probably get the shotgun out to. But away from the shotguns and the robots, what's going on with all these UFOs, Whistles? Muted.
Sorry, Kev. Yeah, there just seems to be too many. Yeah, I mean, it's quite hard to explain. I mean, a lot of people poo-poo them. But I don't know if you can remember the one where it was I think it was the American Air Force, where one appeared and it just shot off to the left of the screen at an amazing rate. And they couldn't believe, do you know what I mean, what they were actually watching. And Trump actually addressed the existence of UFOs in a Pentagon report. If he's going to do that, Kev, then there must be something to it. You know what I mean? These people are not stupid.
Well, we went over the full report last week, Johnny. All 9 pages of it. And they're basically saying that it's still weather balloons and swamp gas. So
see, that kind of thing sickens me, Kev. When they say it's weather balloons, and I even seen somebody that poo-pooed the one that you were talking about, where it gets into the water and it still keeps up in the same speed, which is virtually impossible for any technology that we've got. And he says that it's actually it's not going that fast. It's the way we are looking at it and the way the camera's angled. And for the life of me, I can't work that one out.
You know, what I would offer for that one, and that's one of the more interesting ones for me, because we used to talk about USOs a lot, Johnny, going into the ocean. But there's a channel here you'll probably love on YouTube. And it's not to debunk what you're saying, but when we think about the technology we have, it's mind-boggling. Because there's companies, I think it's Lockheed Martin and another company, when some of the US submarines were about to be decommissioned, the nukes taken off them, they were repurposing these vehicles. What could they do with them? And DARPA get involved. And there's actually, if you go to Alien Scientist, one word, here on YouTube, and he's actually done the whole physics PhD. He works with other scientists, like on free energy, anti-grav, stuff like that. But he's done a lot of deep diving into some of these companies that work on drones and electronic warfare. And, you know, lo and behold, that there's a video, it's about 4 years old now as well, where you can see where DARPA were working on drone-type technology coming out from a submarine. They would go through the water, and then they would take off and do their thing, and then you would actually see them coming back again. Now, that's not to say that's what we were saying in that video, John, right? Not at all. Not at all. But we've got technology out there where you've really got to question, well, what are they showing us? Are they genuinely like showing us something that they really don't know what it is? Or are they showing us things that they want us to see? And if they want us to see them, whether they're alien or ours, they've got an agenda, right? So that's why it's really, I don't know. I can't make my mind up on the last 4 years of ufology. I mean, Scott have done shows on it, and they say it's like the world changed and everyone started talking about UFOs for 4 years, and they built it up and built it up and they built it up and they built it up and they took it to the Pentagon and they crashed it down. It's like they were getting ready to release it, getting ready, and then no, it stopped. Or they were building people up, bringing new people to the UFO scene that maybe used to think it was all rubbish, getting them into it, and then right at the final minute, just crushing it all. So I don't know whether they turn away from it altogether, whether they just think it's all silly. I had no idea, Johnny. That's why we've had like hours, Scotty, days. You could probably add up months worth of radio that people have tried to work out what's going on with this particular, like, weird episode we're going through, right?
It's very interesting because, like, we went so many years where the government has always denied, right, and made anybody that talked about it look crazy. If you were into UFOs and all of that stuff, you were those fringe, kooky conspiracy theorists, right? And then all of a sudden to see the government do a complete 180, right? And all of a sudden you see mainstream media talking about it, Tucker Carlson, you have Elizondo out there, this ATIP stuff, and
Just the tip.
the Pentagon. Yeah, exactly. And the Pentagon is all of a sudden taking all of this real seriously and all of that stuff. And I mean, that immediately threw red flags up for me, because I'm going, okay, how come all of a sudden there's this change of tune, this change of heart from the government, to where they're all of a sudden taking this seriously and whatnot. So I don't know. I'm very suspect about all of this, quote unquote disclosure that's going on right now. Now, the footage that we're seeing, the footage that Johnny was talking about, right, with the USO, flying into the water, the tic tac and all that stuff. I mean, I think the footage is legit. I don't think like the footage was fake. They definitely were filming something that was something that was unexplainable, right? Now, what was it? Was it some black project stuff that was being worked on, or was it a legit UFO or some phenomenon that we don't understand? I mean, who knows? But I think this change of tune in the government is very, very strange. And look, I mean, we've went all of these years, not really trusting what the government tells us about anything, because they've lied to us and covered things up so much in the past. So what, all of a sudden we're going to believe them, right? When they start telling us, hey, these UFOs are real and we're taking it seriously and all of that stuff. I think that there's something more going on here, and this supposed interest that they're taking in it is a cover for something. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what they're covering, or what they're trying to, what the agenda is with all of this. But I think this quote unquote disclosure stuff it's not genuine. It's not genuine. And we have to wonder why they're all of a sudden pushing it. So that's where I lay with all of this. I think the footage is real. I think the stuff that they're showing us is legit, but it's kind of the narrative that they're spinning around it that I'm just very skeptical.
Well, Mr. Lopez, on the precipice of our birthday in America, I take offense, because we have to not give you the full reveal for your best interest, because you can't handle the truth.
Indeed.
But as far as the craft that go from the air and into the sea at seemingly no different rate, being in the Navy, I've witnessed things where we questioned it. William Cooper, he proclaimed many times that was his. He saw something. I think he said it was like a quarter of a football field go from the water to the surface. And when I was in the military, I had friends that were single men's, and they would be out there. You know, they had their shack in the middle of the ship, and they would have to stand watch there and do training and stuff. And I would go out there and hang out with them because they're friends of mine. And there was one time when we saw something in the sky, and it was just kind of like we're both talking, and then we're just silent. And we're silent, just staring and witnessing this thing, total silence. And then it goes away, and then like at the same time, we just looked at each other. And we're like, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, do we say something? And he's like, I don't know. So we go into the signal shack, and in there was my division chief petty officer and the petty officer for the Singleman. And we go in there, and we're just both like, you know, what do we say? What do we say? And then finally, I think it was me that I said, so we just saw something in the sky that, yeah, and that was all we said. And then the two of them looked at each other and kind of laughed, you know, and then they look back at us and they're like, what do you want to do about it? And we're just sitting there like, I don't know, because right away you're thinking, like you're just saying, when they poo-poo the individuals that have these occurrences, or they, you know, diminish us and say you're crazy. So I'm just like, do I want to say anything about it? And then the Singleman chief, he said, he's like, okay, just hold on a second. And he turned up the volume on the squawk box, which is amongst all of the lookouts that are out on point. And he's like, listen to see if anybody else says anything. Because as long as nobody else says anything, then I would suggest you don't say anything either. And then he started to proceed on telling us that if we make a report, then at some point when we do come into the next port, then we get visited by individuals that will want to brief you or debrief you.
Make you
on what you
disappear, they say. Make you disappear, man.
Well, you're too valuable for the military. I mean, I guess there are incidences where people do go overboard or fall down ladders, but yeah. So we sat there in silence, and nobody else said anything about it. And so I'm like, all right, I don't want to say anything about it, you know. But at the time, I believed in it because there was other incidents, you know, out there in the middle of nowhere, in the dead of night, where you see stars, like stars upon stars, and then you see these things zipping here and there across the sky. And then one of the Singlemen said, you really want to freak out, look at the skies with the night goggles. And then he said, it'll look like there's a war going on. If, you know, especially if you don't get any light pollution during the night, you know. So if you got a really good pair of night vision goggles, yeah, go out in the middle of nowhere where you get good sky, and report back to us what you see, please.
Yes,
And
indeed.
Speaking of USOs, and, you know, since we're on that topic, have you guys ever seen the photos from, what was it, the USS Trepang? I think it was like back in 1971. And I think some of those photos are some of the most incredible images of a USO. I'll just kind of drop sort of the image search I did for it. Sorry, that's a huge URL there in the Skype, Kev, but no, there it is. But yeah, if you hit that, it'll bring up some of the pictures, and I mean, that is some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen. When I first saw those photos, they kind of blew my mind. But I mean, the thing with the craft and stuff coming in and out of the water. Now, if you have something like that going on back in the 70s or the early 70s, Kev, I mean, what kind of technology was going on back then? Yeah. You know,
again, it's not for, like, you know me, Scotty. It's not that I'm like sitting here saying that there aren't aliens or there aren't spaceships. But
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing, if I had to really put my house on it, I think what we're seeing is, and remember, this doesn't mean that the pilots that are witnessing these things are in on the game. It doesn't mean that the people on the ship manning the radar stations, doesn't mean they're clued in. NASA will tell you, very much need to know basis, especially when it comes to the military. And loose tongues or loose lips sink ships. So when they're looking at all of these multiple bogies on a radar, you look at Project Palladium from back in the 60s, where they were able to spoof radars with electronic warfare technology. So if they could do that back then and stuff like that, and I had that. Remember the submarine I was just talking about, Scott? Now I often laugh and joke about Cobra. They're having a Cobra meeting. Well, this actual thing that they've got, you couldn't make this up. It's called Hydra, and it's by the Defense Advanced Research Project. The submarine would be an underwater truck that would host modules for unmanned submarines, that's cool, and aerial drones. When Hydra reaches a specific location to release the drones, the modules would open and the aerial drones would fly to the surface. So transmedium, remember they said that's a transmedium craft, the one we see going into the water? So is this. The modules would open and the aerial drones would rise to the surface and fly to their missions. The underwater drones would also seek their targets. And they're intended to launch, dock, surveil, all sorts. So again, that's not why I'm not here to tell you that whatever we've seen with that one going into the water is or isn't alien. But we've definitely got stuff out there that we don't know too much about. And even to the trained pilots, if they don't know about that, then that could look a bit woo, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing I think is probably important to throw in there, and this was Alien Scientist as well, and I hadn't thought about it till he said it, but I think it's worth like thinking about this psyop that we've been covering when it comes to UFOs. It actually wasn't aimed at us, because remember they put it onto the big networks. It went mainstream, so it wasn't aimed at a audience of people already into ufology. Now, they knew that we would have our commentary and our say-so on it. Yeah, sure. But who was it really aimed at then? Was it aimed at us to make us look silly? Well, they've already got people that aren't into this information think we're silly anyway. Or was it aimed at the general public? The kind of people who usually don't watch the X-Files or will find a show like this and think, oh, not all that kind of out there crazy kind of stuff, mysteries and no. Was it aimed at those people? Because we think, well, what was it all about? And we can't figure it out because we know a lot of this stuff. We've looked at things like this for years and talking to the audience as well. A lot of people looking at UFOs longer than we have. But was it really aimed at our specific community? I don't think so.
One thing that I've witness when it comes to pattern recognition, that the transition is all about blending, because if you blend it from one transition into the other, then it's a smooth transition. If we look at the whole chaos where it's a quick right turn or left turn, then that's a major disruption. So right now it's almost like, the bathtub is spilling over and it's leaking out, and it's just kind of broadening the horizon of who now is making more and more aware of this. Because if there is going to be a sudden transition, how are we collectively going to handle it?
Do you know the thing that freaks me out? Now, we know that the vast size of the galaxies and everything that's out there. It's like times that we couldn't even imagine. Do you know what I mean? Like, say, going to like Beetlejuice, how much or how long would that take? But if these UFOs are coming here, then their technology must be like thousands and thousands of years ahead of us. And that kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, indeed, it does. It's almost it's mind blowing where the human brain can barely even comprehend like how much of a technological advancement they would have on us, especially if we're talking about a civilization that is like millions and millions of years older than us, right? They would have this incredible ability to do things that we couldn't even, that our minds couldn't even comprehend. And look, I mean, I think it's a combination of everything, right? It's not like this black and white sort of issue where it's either this or that. I think we're seeing a combination of black project stuff that the military is testing, or that these private military industrial complex companies are testing, right? You're seeing that. Then you're actually having real unexplained phenomena take place that could be aliens. It could be, something going on. And then on top of that, I also think that there's a supernatural element to this as well. I mean, are we talking about entities that are coming in from like different portals, right? Mm-hmm. I went down that whole kind of rabbit hole of, I mean, what if we're not looking at aliens? What if we're looking at like interdimensional sort of entities of some kind, right? Like Nace said, there's some people that believe we're dealing with angels and demons, that could be coming from higher vibrational dimension or a lower vibrational dimension, depending on what they are. And, if we're talking about that, then of course they're going to be doing things that are completely supernatural, right? I mean, that's what the word means. It's something that is far beyond what we can achieve. And so I think it's all on the table. I think it's like everything is on the table right now. And that's why it's so hard to navigate this topic, because you get some people that they go into the alien camp and it's just aliens, and they don't want to look at any other explanation. And then you got the people that are like, well, it's just military technology and it's us doing it. It's just stuff that's hidden, that they're hiding from us, and they're not showing us, this high technology. And then that's the camp that they set up in, or the people that say, well, it's just angels and demons or whatever. But I think it's a mixture of it all. And that's what's even more crazy. Right. I think that makes it even more insane, is because then you can't even really discern what is what anymore. And then now, like I said, you got the government doing this 180 on the topic and acting like they're taking it seriously. And
they gave us lots to talk about for 4 years. So look at how much they've given us to talk about, Scott. I've got to thank them for that.
Yeah. And so, like I said, I don't know, man. It's very interesting. And like I said, since it's World UFO Day, it's just cool to get into the topic, because I don't know. I think at the point we're at right now, the whole kind of UFO topic, I would say it's at its most interesting point. Wouldn't you say, Kev? The discussion of ufology in general, I think, is at most.
Well, usually it's only the characters we used to concentrate on, because it was kind of monotonous. It was kind of stale, right? So we would look at some of the LARPers and get a laugh, and we would talk about Nordics and see a lot of talk about how they've never went away. And that's another thing you could throw on the table there as well. Maybe they've got permanent underwater bases. Who knows, folks? I'm open to all of it. And
another thing I've got to throw into there as well.
Music's on. We're on the break. Scotty. Hold that thought. We'll be back after these messages. Don't go anywhere. There we go. I'm going to shove on some music for a couple of minutes, guys. Well, for a minute or so. Let us get a little drink. Let us kind of chillax now that we can enjoyable UFO woo. Yes, would you prefer to meet a Nordic or an insectoid, boys? That's the question.
Well, give me a Nordic.
Exactly, Johnny Whistles. Nordics every day of the week, and they get the exception to the tip rule. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm blind, so I guess as long as it feels good.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't discriminate. See, I like that. You're very diverse and inclusive. Even aliens, all aliens, you're all welcome, right? Do you think they'll come with their pronouns?
Absolutely. I'm a woo crew.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Freaky Friday with the Demon Crew. Whoa.
Meow, 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 meow.
This is Blue Chicken Base 1, Blue Chicken Base 1. Uh-oh, Freaky Friday are on us.
One, Charlie, uniform, Niner, 6.4, over the rainbow, the rabbit ran.
Come on,
Hashtag.
man.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. Are you serious?
How dare you?
Hashtag Speculation Island.
Be Greta. I hate that also.
Special guest, Johnny Whistles. Damn it, Captain. I'm a doctor of love, not an engineer.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't panic. Don't panic. We haven't been taken over by demonic possession. Not just yet. Not just yet. The demonic ones haven't turned up. No doubt there's still 2 hours to go. The night is yet early, as they say. So yeah, 2 hours to go on your Freaky Friday. If you can handle the ever-increasing woo, as every break goes by, we step up the woo. Why? Because we get you all ready for Brent Thomas, and he will take you through the paranormal portal. And last week, Nacy, I headed on over to the paranormal portal after Freaky Friday finished, and Don Longbeard is convinced that that was possibly the creepiest promo I'd ever given for the paranormal portal. Do you remember that? Do you remember?
Well, once we open the portal, and if there's plenty of good lube, then entering it is much easier beyond the tip.
I think I referred to Freaky Friday as being the lube. Yes, I did. So anyway, see, Scott, see what happens when you're not around, dude. I tell you, man,
Oh.
it's off the charts crazy, totally off the charts crazy. So then, Whistles.
Can I ask Johnny at Whistles a question?
Go for it, dude.
Yeah, go for it.
Johnny, it's such a delight in my darkness to hear your incredible voice, and may I compliment you on how good your English is getting. But how have you been, brother?
I actually have been really good. I'm doing quite well where I'm staying. It's actually lovely. It's right out in the country. And my neighbours are cows, sheep and horses. Do you know what I mean? It's honestly, it's fantastic.
What do you make? Well, what do you make of the whole cow kind of getting grabbed by UFOs and things? What do you make of that, Whistles?
Well, when you find a cow in your field that's been cut open, okay, with no blood, and they took a perfect square from its muscle. Now, how is that possible? There's no footprints, there's no marks, no nothing. And they always seem to take its tongue and its back end as well. Now, I don't know what that is, but it's just pretty weird. There's no explanation for it.
No.
But it happens, that's the thing.
Yep. Remember Linda Moulton Howe? She was on, spoke with her about that kind of thing. Watching the new Skinwalker, that brings up the old stories of what went on when the Shermans had the ranch. And I don't know. I have no idea. It's a head scratcher to me. Like you say, you know, why? What's going on there? It's one of these. It's just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. What do you make of it, Scotty? Nacy?
It's a
strange
weird
harvest.
Oh, I like that. That's a good name for a book, man.
That was Linda Moulton Howe. That was her documentary called A Strange Harvest, and it came out in '94.
Lucky you told me that, or we could have got some real copyright issues if me and Scotty had gone on to write the book. You know?
Exactly. We were ready. I was ready to go start jotting it down. You know. No, the whole topic of the the activities that occur around cattle, that's a weird one, you know. And once again, I mean, what are we talking about here? Is it alien? Is it something supernatural? Are we dealing with just some
intergalactic bovine conspiracy? I like it.
Intergalactic bovine conspiracy. Yeah.
A planet full of like cattle and cats. Have you ever seen the way a cow looks at you? Like I've clocked how cows look at you. They just stand there kind of looking at you. Remember we went down this road before, Scott, where we've actually questioned whether the cows are just pretending. But not that they're all. I'm not saying they're fake cows. Went over a story last night where there's a group in America. I think that the birds got replaced in 1976 by drone birds.
Wow.
The birds aren't real. That's the name of the group. I'm not even making that up. But remember, we were questioning how intelligent maybe a cow is. We just look at a cow and we see a silly old cow, right? But who knows, dude?
There's a horror movie.
I've not seen any doing any tricks, Kev.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying, though, dude. They're masquerading. They're acting all dumb, stood in the field, but there's obviously something about them. Dude, it was a joke stream me and Scott done one day. Don't worry about it. I'm not actually sitting here claiming that a cow's going to be writing a book anytime soon. Chill. We're good, man. We're good. Your burger's not going to attack you off the plate one day. It's all good. Not yet. Not yet. Not this week. Maybe next week. Who knows? Wiser things are eating grass. Oh, wait a minute. We're talking about cows that eat grass, right?
Well, the funny thing about that in Scotland, if something happened to a bunch of sheep, nobody would have batted an eye. But since it's of the bovine.
Excuse me. I can assure you in Aberdeen, for one place in the UK, when you say, Scotty, if something started Whistles, something started happening to the sheep up there, there would be an outcry of galactic proportions, wouldn't there?
Yeah, definitely, because the people in Aberdeen, they have to get out really early so they get a nice looking one.
Exactly. And unlike your 16th birthday, every boy's like a rite of passage. You get your Velcro gloves and your white woolly kind of ghillie gear on. Away out you go, man. That's it. Yep. So you would know. Us Scots would be like, we're the canary in the sheep abduction field. Not the canary in the coal mine, but in the sheep abduction field. There you go.
Interesting.
Maybe that's why it doesn't occur. It doesn't occur because they know how upset people would be if something happened to their sheep.
You know
so
what the
there's
best
plenty of bovine to go around.
You know what the best kept secret in the world is, though, Whistles? That we here in Scotland, all 5-point-something million of us, right, for thousands of years, we've convinced the world that the haggis isn't actually an animal. But me and you know better, don't we?
Yes, we do. We've actually got a stuffed one in the Glasgow Museum.
Yay! You know, if we just move on from here, there are people going to be thinking now, do I Google that or are they having me on? What's going on here? Is there a haggis beastie? Me and Whistles would have to take you out, wouldn't we, Whistles, if we told anyone? Is
it the Scottish cryptid that has been held, close to the chest, a long kept secret? Is that what's going on?
Might even be divulging too much to even confirm or deny that such a question, Scott.
Is it like the
Scott? They've got 4 legs, okay, but both of their left legs are shorter because they only go up hills in one direction.
In a weirdly circular fashion.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very fascinating. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You see, once you get into the rhythm of how they're moving there, you see, it's like I'm telling you, dude. But then again, me and Johnny could be making all this up because, we might be trying to throw you off the scent. Maybe we're trying to throw you off the scent of the sheep. They were getting too close to the sheep, Johnny. Let's talk about the haggis.
Well, have either of you gentlemen seen the jackalope of America?
That's a new one, dude. The jackalope. What did an antelope have sexual relations with?
You've never heard of
rabbit.
The jackalope, Kev?
Can't say I have, no.
It's the rabbit with antlers, right? The jackalope.
All right, I'll give it a Google. I can't bring it onto the screen today, but I'm going to do it for curiosity's sake.
It's a big thing here in the Midwest and the.
All right, Whistles, they having me on here.
Definitely, Kev.
Aye. I want to see what I get in the pictures, or that could be funny. The jackalope, I like it.
It's like the infamous St. Clair family.
Now listen, this is like a real poor man's. Wait, look at this thing here. And to describe this for the radio audience, think of when you see like a big stag's head on the wall somewhere, right? Big huge stag head. Well, this is like a rabbit's head with antlers stuck on, and I'm assured by the Library of Alexandria that Wikipedia's never wrong, right? But I'm thinking this might be, they're trying to wind us up. Whistles. These American buggers.
Do you know that there's people that, they actually believe this, that see a duck-bill platypus, they say that the bill has been put on prosthetically.
No.
Yeah. And there's people that actually believe that.
That's as mad as the people the ones that birds aren't real.
Yeah, I know. And volcanoes aren't real. That's CGI.
We live in a strange world, eh?
You know, it's so crazy. I grew up, I think, all the way to I would say almost the age of 12, believing that jackalope was a real thing, man.
Well, I totally swallowed it when you said it, dude. It sounded right.
I mean, that was growing up in Texas and all of that stuff, the adults and stuff would tell the kids about the jackalope and all of that. And Yeah, I believed it, man. I believed it, and then I was like, oh, when I finally found out, I was like, oh, they really pulled a fast one on me, didn't they?
I think the best one I've seen in recent years, and I think it was somebody in the chat room mentioned it, but the drop bear down in Australia, when like a pommy goes down there, and it's like it's not your ordinary koala. It's like a deadly version, man, and they've got this woman kitted up in all the like kind of protective gear. She's padded out. She looks like she's ready for a game of ice hockey, and then she's holding this koala like it's a life and death situation, and they're all trying not to laugh. And I swear that has got to be the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. So a big shout out to our Australian family for providing us with much humour with the drop bear. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and Faith in the chat. She must have grew up too, thinking that the jackalope was real.
It's a
For a
thing.
while. It's a thing, man.
It's a thing, man.
Scott, did you believe in the Rougarou?
The Rougarou? Oh, we were talking about the Rougarou not too long ago.
We done a show on the Rougarou, John. What do you make of that, dude?
It's pretty weird, to be honest with you, but I'm sure that you don't actually turn into one when you look at one.
No, maybe not, but it would be cool. But I look at the Rougarou, my take, maybe it's just like another variant of the Bigfoot, right? That lives near the swamp.
Yeah, because all the descriptions of it is he's like a swamp creature, right? This huge 8-foot tall ape-like creature covered in moss, kind of like the swamp thing or something like that. No, I think we're just probably talking about maybe another variant of the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, whatever name it goes by depending on the location. Now, the whole thing of it looking at you and you turning into a Rougarou, I don't know about all that.
That's where all the missing 411 people go. They turn into cryptids.
Oh. Hey, man, maybe, man.
No, listen, before somebody kind of snips that and makes it sound like I legitimately think that, I'm not saying that for all of the cases.
But no, it was really interesting, right, Kev? Because when we looked into the kind of history behind the Rougarou, it went far back all the way to Europe, right?
Yeah, to France. It came over with the French. Ooh la la, we're back with it. Ooh la la. Oh, mais oui, monsieur. So listen, Nacy, let me come to you first on this one, right? We're going to stick with the kind of cryptidy thing. But for you, out of all the cryptids you've heard of, all the ones you've looked at, seen talked about over the years and things, okay? What for you is the weirdest, or the one that really makes you go woo?
Ooh.
Well, I like that. See, that all the things that make you go woo. Managed to stay on title of the stream. Brilliant.
In an homage to my ancestry, I would have to say the Thunderbird.
Did you know that there have been multiple sightings of very large bird-like creatures? And our good friend Stan Gordon, he comes on to Warrior Mode to report these things, and it's quite uncanny, the uptick in oversized birds, shall we say. Now, Firebird, that's one thing that gets offered up, Nacy. I hear them talking even at times about, this is going to sound out there, but it's Freaky Friday, pterodactyl type beasties in the sky. So I get the Firebird one, man. That's a pretty good shout, but for anyone out there who doesn't know the Firebird, tell them all about it, dude.
Well, the Thunderbird in our legends and myths are the bringers of the storm, and the lightning comes from their eyes, and the thunder is the beating of their wings, and they're enormous birds, more or less. And the beautiful thing about it is when you look into the epochs of yesteryear, you hear about these incredible birds that, like the rock, we were talking about that earlier, was allegedly big enough to lift up a baby elephant. you know, and to think of my ancestors having to defend their villages because every now and then a potential bird of prey could steal someone from your village.
Weird, huh? Good shout then. Very good shout. Scotty Lopez, and I've had one of the totem representations here of the Thunderbird on the screen. So, Scotty, moving to you, what's your one? What's the one that really, wow?
Oh man, I mean, there's so many different kind of cryptids out there that are really, really fascinating to dive into. I mean, Naysay, you know, chose a really good one right there. I mean, the Thunderbirds, and hey, synchronicity. You know, our high school right here, we're the Thunderbirds, so that's our mascot. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to say maybe. I don't know. You might have to come back to me here in just a second. I'm gonna really kind of think on this one. I wanna say. I want to say rake or something like that. The pale skinned cryptid things that kind of fall under that category. I think those are the ones that kind of freak me out the most, that are like, that look humanoid but to have that pale skin kind of thing going on. Those kind of freak me out because it makes me wonder what the hell is going on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so many, like I said. And of course, Bigfoot is just a classic. You know, just the thought of some kind of. There's just so many reports of it from all around the world, right? I mean.
Well, here's a quick one for you. Just on June 30th, Wednesday, it's just passed, over at Phantoms and Monsters, the headline, multiple pale crawler humanoids infiltrate a Detroit area neighborhood. Multiple. So we're not going to go through all of it, but I just thought I'd throw that out there because I remembered seeing Lon Strickler had posted that. Bit weird. It says here, the summer after graduating high school. I'll read the first little bit, see what's going on. The summer after graduating high school in the Metro Detroit area of Michigan, almost every weekend was grad party after grad party. Towards the end of summer, one of my closest friends had his at his house. Now, his house backs up to a small wooded area, probably no more than 50 to 100 yards deep and maybe 20 to 30 yards across. It's small enough to where you can see the house on the other side of it during the day and some of the lights on in that house at night. Now, additionally, the houses surrounding has belonged primarily to the elderly, so no one is out past 10 o'clock or so. And finally, we had never drank or tried any sort of intoxicating substance until months after all this occurred. This all comes into play as the night begins to unfold. Couple of minutes later, there's noises from the woods started up again. This time they were much closer, much closer. I could see my friend. It's quite a long one, that, but there you go. So we can maybe come back to that. But Whistles, what was your terrifying one?
I would have to say the Mothman, Kev.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's that good that they made a movie out of it.
Definitely did. Definitely. A creepy one. You know, when you get into the book, The Mothman, all of the weirdness that was going on in West Virginia at that time, it was like the Mothman was the icing on the cake, or it was so weird. You talked about portals earlier on, guys. Arguably, I think we might have been looking at something that came forth from a portal when it comes to the Mothman, wouldn't you think? Johnny's big red eyes, weird looking.
Yep, that's the thing about it. I mean, it's like Bigfoot, Kev. There's so many people saw this thing that you just, I mean, not everybody can be wrong. Do you know what I mean? I mean, nobody, they can't all be like pretending that they saw this thing, because people are actually scared for their lives when they have seen it. So, honestly, I'm not sure, but it's kind of a freaky to think that there is something out there like that.
Like you say, Johnny, these people, they definitely experience something very real. And then you start to look into the whole kind of flying humanoid thing. It's more frequent throughout history and things. It's not just that one isolated case, right? I mean, it's like people have reported things like that in the past. And again, that makes it even more terrifying. What the hell are we dealing with, you know?
It's pretty weird. I mean, as I say, not everybody can be wrong, and not everybody is making it up. And it's the same thing with Bigfoot. That many people saw it. Some credible people as well. So I remember listening to one policewoman. She was out in a boat, and when she wasn't that far out, but she seen one that was actually standing on the shore. She never had a camera or anything on her, which was probably the horrible thing, where she could have got a picture of it. But listening to her she seemed so genuine. She was actually a policewoman. Now, I don't think the police would say something like that and make a ridicule of themselves. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
I believe in Bigfoot. I really do. That's the thing. I do believe in it, Kev. There must be something out there.
That's it, man. Well, my one, it's probably people thinking he's going to go Nessie, but I don't want to be Kev or Dave, the Nessie guy. So I'm going to go back to Australia and the weirdest looking cryptid we've ever talked about on the show, the bunyip.
Ah, the bunyip.
The bunyip.
It's a good one.
Yep. Now,
Yeah.
I've heard people saying this is like the Australian Nessie. Nessie is nothing like this. And now, granted, we're talking about possibly a water spirit that shapeshifts. But listen, if anything like that had been living near Fort Augustus when I'd been growing up, I'd have ran away from home if there was even a slight chance that could come wandering through the village at night. You know what I'm saying? That's a weird one. And Uncle Donnie's obviously, he's told us all about that one, Nacy, hasn't he? The big bunyip.
Since we're talking about water spirits, if gentlemen, if we can go way back in the time machine, well, not too far back, but a couple years back, when I was fortunate to go to Sundance. And if you guys remember, I was sharing with you how we were getting a torrential rainfall while there. And one evening, I felt that there were entities in my tent, and I believe they came from the Cheyenne River, which was only about maybe about 200 yards down the hill from us. And my friend who brought me there last summer, he went there to Sundance, and he came back and shared with me that other people were talking about the water spirits, that there was somebody else that was asking questions. And so, yeah, it was very exciting because I've always been fascinated with the possibility of mer people. And I guess that would be my next cryptid, if we were to say. But my ancestors, they talk about humanoids that come from the water. Some say that the 7 grandfathers, they came from the water and shared with us their gifts. So, yeah, water spirits.
I like that, dude. You know, and we're always kind of open to at least discussing the UFOs and things, right, that go underwater, stuff like that. We've seen the ruins of civilizations that slip underwater, but what if we're like missing a whole genre altogether of like what Kev's talking about here? Humans that somehow adapted to living underwater. It's out there. It's mermaid, it's merman, it's Freaky Friday. That's what we do here. Join us in after the break. There we go.
Extendivite is more than just a heart.
It is indeed, and that's my good friend Don Wiskin. Big Don. So yes, we're halfway through the show.
Carsdrop.com.
Halfway through the show. Yes, indeed. Whistles, are you enjoying it now? We got you. We got you settled in. We got you live into the Freaky Friday. Back in the groove, bro. Back in the groove. Full woo.
Yeah, it's great. Great, Kev, honestly. Good to be back.
Yes. Have you been watching or have you checked out the Skinwalker series, John?
Yes, I have, Kev.
Are you impressed with that, my friend? Because I am. This is the first time that me and Big Kevin have ever had some father and son woo time, and I've got my eye on him, Johnny. He's a lover of the woo. So KBS is going to go on into the future. It's going to be a multi-generational operation we've got here. But that whole Skinwalker, man, that's got everything, right? You've got potential portals. You've got the homesteads that are haunted. You've got things under the ground. You've got things above the ranch. Skinwalkers. I mean, dude, it's got everything, hasn't it? Yes, indeed.
I think it's one of those situations to where you're dealing with multiple phenomenon in one location. Whether what could possibly be the explanation for it? I mean, are we dealing with a natural kind of vortex that may be located over that area, like a natural energetic sort of?
Have you been watching the latest season, dude? Have you? Season 2?
No, I haven't been able to catch that yet, but
you need to catch. I'm not going to give any spoilers because it's too good, but you need to catch it, man. It's 8 episodes in, and it's brilliant.
Weird stuff happening, Kev. Eh?
Oh, very weird. You watching the second season, John?
Yes, I am, Kev.
Ah, good man. So did you see the latest one where they were talking about Tesla?
What was that?
They were talking about Tesla on the show, Nikola Tesla.
Oh, right, yeah.
Did you see that, the latest one?
I'm not sure if I've seen that one yet, Kev.
Well, they do a crazy experiment on the ranch, and not going to give anything away, but wow. Just wow, when they start putting together what might be going on there. I don't know. It's good work.
If Tesla was focusing on portal technology, I would absolutely 100% believe it's possible.
Like I say, check out The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. Some free publicity for their show. Not that they need it. It's very popular anyway. But it's from the same template as Oak Island. That team knows how to put a good documentary together, and oh boy, do they keep you going. So, listen, we're going to go back to the network here in a second. Yeah, we've still got time. They say you're the time master. You were about to tell me 10 seconds. I was getting the timing wrong. So Anne says anyway.
If you think of a circle mounted, vertically, so you walk through it as like a portal, and it's a ring of different materials. Just like with the colliders.
Here we go. Here we go. Sorry, man. Sorry.
Round and round and round.
Here we go. Where are the crickets?
Release the Wookiee.
Release the Wookiee. Okay. Macy, your 10 seconds were out.
Time to pay? Is that what he said?
I need to
Time to pay?
Just in case we trip the old. There we go. We're back. We're live. Second half of today's Freaky Friday. Right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Coming up right after today's show. We've got Brent Thomas and Don Longbeard. And they're firing it up. I can see them pulling on the throttle right now to get it going. They're warming up the Paranormal
August 13th.
August the 13th. It's not long away now. And August the 13th will be a very, very special Freaky Friday Paranormal Portal crossover. That's the night that we go for 5 hours. Friday the 13th. Yep.
A freaky paranormal Friday portal.
on a 13th. We love our numbers around here, right? Unlucky for some. Yes, indeed. So, Scotty
Today,
Lopez.
Lucky Pub 13, where I got my bison burgers before the show.
Nice. Can't be a nice
It's
big
becoming
burger.
my ritual.
So, Scotty, you were telling us before the show that you were having a really interesting conversation with the family earlier on, or in the past couple of days, and it featured things that make you go woo. I'm talking about some. Are you ready, folks?
Mandela effect.
Go on, Scotty. What's been happening, dude?
Well, I like to kind of visit the topic of Mandela's every once in a while, because it's interesting. There's a lot of weirdness that
head scratching weirdness, dude.
Yeah, that surrounds that. And so I heard a few new ones, and I just when you get one of the Mandelas dropped on you, you know how it kind of melts your mind for a minute, and you're like, what, So one of the ones I was informed of was Captain Crunch. Now, I always remember it being spelt Captain, Captain Crunch. But now it's spelt like Cap'n, like CAP''N. And that kind of blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? I don't remember it being spelt like that. So there was that. But the one that really blew my mind was the theme song to Mr. Rogers. And I believe everybody remembers it as "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood," da 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 da. Well, now it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. And that just makes absolutely no sense to me. So I don't know, man. It's more weirdness going on. And I think another one was the ride of Paul Revere. I think everybody kind of learned that Paul Revere jumped on his horse, went out riding into the night. The British are coming. Yeah, the British are coming. The British are coming. But apparently now he had an entourage with him. He had like 2 other people riding with him or something like that. So I don't know, man. It's one of these weird Mandelas are kind of cropping back up again and freaking me out. So
maybe it was a murderous Hussein mercenary that lost his head from Sleepy Hollow.
This is what I was saying to you before the show. This is really where it comes into a geographical specific Mandela, unless because when we're talking about things from Scott and Kevin's childhood, they're going to be American orientated. Obviously, goes without saying. And then there's things that me and Johnny grew up to that Scott and Nacy wouldn't be as familiar with. So this is where it gets really specific. So Nacy, are you with Scotty? We played it before the show. There's been a change, right? It's got weird.
Well, I mean,
or has it?
To try to come up or to ponder an explanation, how many episodes did Mr. Rogers do? So could there possibly have been a time when, he was excited because the minorities weren't moving into the neighborhood, so he was referring to it as this neighborhood? Or maybe he was excited because of the gentrification that was overwhelming his neighborhood, brought the color of the rainbow into his closet.
I don't know. I don't know, man. But I mean, I just always remember it. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood because I watched Mr. Rogers like every day when I was little. I was pretty much MK Ultra'd by by Mr. Rogers because I watched it so much, right? So the theme song was embedded in my head, and I specifically remember it being "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood," and so it just makes no sense to me. And
that puppet that was around the Coliseum, the spinning Coliseum, was it like Lady Elaine or something like that? But she was this just bizarre looking female puppet that had that, I don't like this kind of voice. And and then the guy that dressed like a dog. Two things that just kind of weirded me out in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Trolley.
Like I said, so I don't know. The Mandela thing, it continues to go on, and me and Kev have talked about this a lot. Whether you remember it one way or another, it doesn't mean you're wrong or right. That's the thing. It's some people remember it one way, some people remember it the other way, and that's what's crazy about it, but nobody's wrong.
But will it bring us to guns at sunrise at the dueling ground? That's when it starts getting a little ridiculous. Where people get such a feverfew.
I stopped looking after Black Tom Island, Scotty boy. That was me. I'm out. After that. I'm out. I'm gone. I'm done. It's too weird. I can't explain it. Never will. you know?
Yeah. That was one of the ones where I just was like, okay, you're it was like the icing on the cake when it came to the Mandela thing, and I'm like, okay, something really weird is going on here because I don't remember any of this.
Whistles, do you have a favorite Mandela?
I think it was the Alice in Wonderland, where she said that mirror, mirror on the wall. I can't mind the actual verse, but it was changed.
Changed to Magic Mirror.
Was that Snow White?
Magic Mirror, that's right, Kev.
Snow White, I think that was the one. I don't know my nursery rhymes. I'm useless.
Birdie.
Yeah, I'm useless with them. But we know the one we're talking about. I mean,
yeah.
So I don't know what one specifically, but yeah, that's a weird one.
Mirror on the wall.
Like when it all started, I mean, obviously, right, no brainer. It got kind of popular under the term Mandela effect. I think a lot of people were made aware of it around the Berenstain or Berenstein Bears, however you pronounce that. And again, that's when I really kind of, early on, I'm like, well, this is going to be kind of geographical in senses as well, because how can somebody that's not been brought up with those books possibly tell an American that remembers their childhood getting read these same books that they're wrong? And that's like Scotty says, and we all agree here, I think, that there's no winner in a debate about the Mandela effect, because if you remember something the way you remember it, have at it. And it's a very individual thing, I think. And like Nacy was saying there, I've seen like comment sections descending into people wanting to physically fight over their version of the memory than over somebody else's, and that just gets crazy. It's a really it's one of those weird kind of parlor game things where you can freak people out at a party almost, right? I remember the look on my little brother's face the first time I told him a Mandela, and it's wrong because it really sent him into a cycle of thinking for about 2 weeks. He was obsessed with it, but that's what happens when you first hear about it, right?
It's one of those things that, I think what the Mandela effect does to people is it's one of those things that kind of shatters your paradigm, where you've seen something one way for all of your life, and then all of a sudden you're told that's not true, or that's not how it was, and it just like blows people's mind, and a lot of people can't cope with stuff like that. Like you said, Kev, I mean, it sent your brother into like 2 weeks of like, whoa.
It was I don't know, but it was a game changer. Like you say, that was a paradigm shifter. Hang on a minute. That's not the way I remember things. And you kind of walk away and you've left somebody tumbling down into the Mandela.
And then it makes you start questioning everything, right? You're like, okay, if that wasn't really what it was or what I believed it to be for my whole life, then what else is there out there that I believe is one way but actually isn't, you know? So it starts it puts you into like this weird like existential crisis sort of situation where you're
I think
like,
it's good fun. It's good fun, man. I think it's good fun.
I mean, now I've learned to have fun with it and everything like that. But I think we all went through that kind of first scenario whenever the Mandela is dropped on you, and you're like, whoa. And you know, Casey in the chat right there, we were talking about what could be causing the Mandela. What is it that is doing it? And you know, we were discussing like parallel timelines actually, so good shout out, Casey. We were talking about parallel timelines, maybe, you know, multiple dimensions or something that are phasing kind of in and out of each other, and maybe some people are you know, things are slightly changed in one parallel dimension, and when it kind of phases into our timeline, maybe we're experiencing it for a little bit, or some people are experiencing it or remember it being one way, or, you know, I don't know. I like the whole timelines phasing kind of in and out sort of explanation for it.
You see that in TV shows. You know, one of my favorites, Scott, Fringe. I'll never forget, you know, one of the season cliffhangers. It kind of there's this timeline, and then there's this universe, and then there's the alt-verse, as they call it. And you only really get a true glimpse into that at the end of I think it's season 1, where it zooms out from an office building where they're having a meeting, and lo and behold, there they are. The meeting's taking place in somewhere that doesn't exist on our timeline, because they were sitting having a meeting in the World Trade Center post 2001. So, I mean, you can think of a lot of TV shows as well, but I mean, that doesn't prove anything. But see, here we go. Look, we mentioned Mandela, and even if it's not for you, there's so many spin-off topics that can come from that. You know, like Scott's parallel timelines there. You know, time travel. Time travel's another thing that comes to mind. And, you know, I'm not saying there's somebody out there with a time machine going back and changing the name of, like, the people that wrote books and things, but we're talking timelines, so I think time travel fits. And so it's Johnny, on you go, Scotty, and then pass it to Whistles, because he's got some time travel for us, man.
Excellent. No, it's interesting you bring up the time travel thing, because going back to the UFOs, right? World UFO Day, you know, here's another potential explanation. Are we looking at time travelers? Are we looking at ourselves time traveling back to the past and visiting? You know, there's always been that theory that's been proposed. Who knows, right? And then another thing I'm going to throw out there as well is what if we're not dealing with aliens from outer space? What if we're dealing with a civilization, ancient civilization with high technology that is living underground, and that these UFOs are coming out of mountains or coming out of the ocean, and they're not coming from outer space, but they're coming from deep within the earth, right? I call it the porous earth theory, right? Where you might have these pockets of gigantic cavernous areas, you know, under the crust, that maybe some civilization lives down there with high technology or something. I think that's on the table as well. So there's a lot of different things out there that could be going on, and so yeah. Whistles, what do you got going on with the time travel, man?
Well, this guy says we can build a real-time machine. Now, his name is Ron Mallet. He built a device that illustrates the principles that he believed could be used to build a time machine. Traveling time might sound a flight of fancy, but some physicists think it might be really possible. Now, this is from BBC BBC Horizon, they looked at some of the most promising ideas for turning this staple of science into fiction reality. Now, Ron Mallett, he has a dream, he wants to travel in time. He said it's not mere fantasy, because Mallett is a respected professor of physics. I think of myself as being an ordinary person with a passion, and my passion is the possibility of time travel. Now, Professor Mallett wanted to build a time machine for most of his life. He explains it can be traced back to a tragedy in his early life. Ron's father, a heavy smoker, died of a heart attack at the age of 33 when Professor Mallett was only 10 years old, and he was devastated and withdrew into his books. And a year after that, when he was 11, he came across the book that changed everything for him, and that was The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. The University of Connecticut Physics told the BBC Horizon programmes, the cover caught my attention, but it was when I read inside and said that scientific people know very well that time is just a kind of space, and that we can move forward and backward in time just as we can in space. Now, when I read that, I said, this is wonderful. If I could build a time machine, then I would go back into the past and see my father again and maybe save his life and change everything. Now, time travel may sound far-fetched, but scientists are already exploring several mysteries of nature that could one day see Ron's dream fulfilled. Albert Einstein thought the 3 dimensions of space were linked to time, which serves as a 4th dimension, and he calls this system space-time, and it's the model of the universe that we use today. But Einstein always thought it was impossible to fold space-time, creating a shortcut between 2 different locations, and that phenomenon was called a wormhole, and it can be visualized as a tunnel with 2 openings, each emerging at different points in space-time. Now, wormholes might exist naturally in the cosmos. Indeed, scientists in Russia are trying to use radio telescopes to detect them, but using wormholes for time travel won't be straightforward. The nearest one could be many light years away, and even if you could get to them, then survive the journey through them, there's no guarantee where you'd end up. But some physicists have speculated that we might be able to conjure up bespoke wormholes at some point in the future, though we currently have no idea how. Physics also predicted that wormholes could have a habit of collapsing, crushing whatever's inside them. If a time machine is ever to be exploited, then we could find a way to stop this inconvenient feature. The mysterious phenomenon of dark energy might provide a solution. In the 1990s, astronomers found that the expansion of the universe was speeding up rather than slowing down, as might have been expected. Something out there is having an anti-gravity effect. It's pushing rather than pulling, and we don't know what that is, but it makes up most of the universe, and we call it dark energy. Now, Professor Tamara Davis, a cosmologist at the University of Queensland, Australia, he said a wormhole will only work for time travel if its mouth can be held open for long enough that allows something to travel through it. That requires something called negative energy, which doesn't really exist in the everyday world. But the dark energy that permeates the cosmos fits the bill. If we can figure out what it is, we might be able to prop open a wormhole long enough to go in one end and out the other. Now, we don't know whether we are able to make a wormhole, whether that's technically within our capabilities, but who knows what a future human civilization is going to be able to do. Technology advanced so rapidly that maybe space and time themselves are something that can come under our control. Wormholes exist at the more speculative end of physics, offering one approach to travelling in time. But Ron Mallett has another. He's drawn up plans for an actual time machine, and his concept was inspired by a book he read age 12 about Albert Einstein's equations. Professor Mallet has built a tabletop device that illustrates a principle he thinks could be used as a real working time machine. First, lasers are used to generate a circulating beam of light. The space inside the ring laser should become twisted like a string, a stirring cup of tea or coffee. The University of Connecticut professor explains, because space and time are intimately connected, warping space should also warp time. Theoretical work has shown that given enough laser intensity in small enough space, it should be positive to alter the normally linear timeline we all inhabit. In space, if space is being twisted strongly enough, this linear timeline is going to be twisted into a loop. If time all of a sudden is twisted into a loop, that allows us the possibility of traveling into the past. However, in order to make it work, the concept would require vast amounts of power and a way of shrinking everything to a microscopic scale. But once we have a time machine, using it successfully will require a detailed understanding of time itself. The generally accepted view is that the universe is unchanging, a block of space-time. This idea arises directly from Einstein's equations. What's important about the model is the idea that the past, present, and future are all equally real. So you can think of everything that ever did exist, does exist, or will exist, all in somehow being out there in space-time. Now, Dr. Christy Muller, director of the Centre for Time at the University of Sydney, Australia, the dinosaurs are all out there somewhere in the past doing dinosaur stuff. We are all here now. All of the future is out there somewhere in space-time too. One way to visualize the block model is to think of other places in a time like being other places in space. We are here in Sydney, but there are other people located in Singapore and London. Those places are perfectly real. It's just that we aren't at them. This is good news, is the budding time traveler, because it suggests that there is nothing to stop us from swapping where we are now for some other place in time. But importantly, it also implies that the past, present, and future are already written, so that if we're aware to travel back in time, we wouldn't be able to alter it. To take an off-quoted example, we shouldn't be able to kill someone's grandparent so that their descendant will cease to exist in the future. The block model treats our everyday concept of time in an illusion, a way that humans rationalize reality. But Professor Lee Simolan from the Perimeter Institute in Waterloo, Canada, disagrees. He believes that the passage of time is a real and fundamental phenomenon. Time travel is probably impossible, he says. If what is real in the present moment and the past is only real in the sense that there are memories and records of it in the present, and the future is still to exist, there's nowhere to go. His colleague, Professor Neil Turek, director of the Perimeter Institute, thinks the weird world of quantum physics could be the crucial to answering this question. This area
hold
of
that
physics
thought, Whistles. Hold that thought. Dude, you have done awesome there. And we're right on the break. So when we come back, we're going to get your thoughts on the time travel. And I want you to think, Johnny. I want you to think, right? 2 or 3 places where you would love to go if you could do it. If we could take Ron's tech and scale it up, we could have our Dyson sphere capture the energy of the sun. We shrink things down. We'll just game it out. So think to yourself, John, what events in history would you want to go to? And I'm telling you, Nacy, and I'm telling you, Scotty, too, we're going to go down this road. But Ron Mallet, thank you for bringing that back up, Johnny. He's a really interesting guy. Yeah. I've seen him on a documentary or 2 before. Time travel. That's another one of these topics, isn't it? I think everyone at some point, I mean, even if you think we can't do it, we've at least at some point, I think everyone's entertained the idea, haven't they?
Oh yeah,
It's a fascinating subject. Yeah, it's a fascinating subject that really sort of, like you said, it makes people really think. And I don't know. We'll talk about it whenever we get back, man.
Indeed, indeed. And when we come back as well on the other side, we'll get Nacy, because I'm trying to think where Nacy is going to take us in time. Try to predict where you are all going to take us, guys. So you out there as well, if you're sitting listening with somebody during the break, don't wait for us. Keep the woo flowing at home. We're just here to get you thinking, to get you started, to get you deeper into the woo. We'll be right back. Wow, I squeezed that in pretty successfully there. Well done. Yep, I'll take that. Johnny Whistles. That was awesome, bro. For a man that's been away from the mic for as long as you have, that was brilliant stuff, bro. Really appreciate it, man.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to think that if we could travel back in time, could you imagine that, Kev? The things that we would be able to do, the people that would be able to see. That would just, honestly, it would blow your mind just thinking about it.
I was talking actually to the wee man, the big man, Kevin, about this. It was when we were watching Skinwalker, actually. No, we were watching Loki. I don't know if anyone's catching the latest Marvel show, Loki, out there, but that deals with jumping around in time and the TVA, the Time Lords and things like that. So this has been fresh on my mind. So when you dropped that story in the chat today, Johnny, I'm thinking, oh yeah. And even before the show
anomaly.
Today, yeah, we done like 3 hours on a stream before I started here today. And there was a story about how there's a French, a French neuroscientist who's talking about these kind of crazy, or I said they were crazy cells in the brain. The article goes into how we remember things, and we've been talking about Mandelas and that. But there's literally time and place cells in our hippocampus. And I joked on the stream previous to this, I says not many people who can turn around and say, well, you know, I just happen to know like a world-renowned neuroscientist that we can send this to, and he can tell us whether it's bunk or it's on it. And guess what? I was wrong. Dr. McCairn has assured me that the time and place cells, as they call them, in our hippocampus is what orders our memories in chronological order. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of wooing. The whole article was, can you time travel with your mind? So I think when we've done the time travel bit, I'm wanting to get you guys into thinking remote viewing, astral travel, Montauk Project, Stargates, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound?
Definitely some good stuff there.
Happy with that, Nacy?
The ability. Oh yeah, absolutely. The ability for me to tell what time it is without checking, that I'm usually within 10, 15 minutes of when I say what time it is, or when people ask what time it is, I can call it like that. So I would absolutely have to believe that within our brain there's some type of mechanism or something, whether it be a frequency resonance or something, that is basically measuring the movement of energy.
Here we go, dude. Sorry, Nacy. Here we go.
10 seconds.
No. Damn you. He's right every time. Whistles, you see what it is? Whistles will remember the flashing live clock, and that's like, right, you're ready to go, the music's running off. Doesn't work like that anymore, dude, and I always forget, and it's car crash time.
Yes, yeah, indeed.
Here I'm just joking about being able to predict time. And
no, I like it. We can call you our atomic clock. I like it. Here we go. Really broken Wookiees, because I know I haven't got the right sound queued up, but we're back. we're live, and maybe that's the sound we always make on Freaky Friday. What do you mean you remember a Chewbacca, a Wookiee? Never heard of such a thing. Maybe we're on a different timeline, right? You see, I know, I kicked the bum out of it. But hey, we're back, we're live. And it's not just your average Freaky Friday, because it's like we've maybe travelled back in time. Literally, when you think about it. We could get a bit nostalgic here today, I suppose, because it's like going back maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe a bit longer, because time flies when you've been having fun doing all these shows. But when I look at the screen tonight, this feels like the old days. It's like the band are back together, as they say. It's like our reunion tour. And now Johnny Whistles is like a football manager or something. I'm not sure what he's doing there. He might even be on a spaceship by the looks of it, dude. Is that the one? Is that the one Gary McKinnon found? Is that the one that Gary McKinnon was talking about, Whistles?
Yeah, I actually got a hold of it from DARPA. It was only, I think it was $3 million.
Oh, nice, man. Nice, I like it.
I've saved up all my pennies, Kev.
What did you do? Did you go on YouTube and pretend you're a secret space officer and you've got like a super secret red hotline to the Blue Avians or something like that? Oh no, sorry, I'm mistaking you for somebody else, dude. Yeah, you see. So listen, before the break, we were talking time machines. This was Whistle's way of warming us up for the fact that him and Junie have built one. So where are we going, Johnny? Where would be your number one place in time? When would you go to? That's even hard. It's weird saying that, right? When would you go to instead of where?
Well, I think the obvious one would be that everyone who's lost someone would love to go back and have a chat with them. Now, that's a given kind of thing, okay? But I would like to have a chat, Kev, with Albert Einstein.
Oh, nice call, man.
That would be amazing. I'd love to talk to him, or Nikola Tesla.
I'm giving you. I'll give you those two. That's a 2 for 1, right? So you've got those two, and I like that, Johnny. I like that. And guys, we can't like cross over. We've all got to think of something different here, so we can't all jump on the same one, right? So Whistles, give me another one then. What other period in time, and what like civilization or what event would you like to go and witness?
Probably the Mayans, Kev.
Ooh, nice.
I'd love to. I mean, that fascinates me. The thing that they built is honestly it defies belief that back in that time they were able to build all these temples and things. And it's a shame that most of them actually probably rotted away now and fell apart. But
you know, you look at LiDAR, Johnny. See the kind of LiDAR scans they do now, and they're finding the ruins and things under bits of jungle and stuff that we've never been in. So that's encouraging. That's almost like time traveling, John. If we uncovered one of these like lost cities or something, you look at the Mayan temples, and that's like time traveling because it takes you back there almost, right?
Yeah.
Cool, man.
I mean, they found, Kev, a full city in the Amazon jungle with LiDAR.
There you go, dude. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, man. You look at what they've done in Egypt with that as well. You know, huge swathes of, you know, like cities that are just lost to the sand. So I like it, Johnny. I like it. That's your 2, right? We'll go Nacy next. We'll let him have second shot. So come on, Nacy. A person, an event, a happening, a people, where would you do, man?
I would like to go back at least 20,000 years ago when my ancestors were in the zenith of the serpent mound, and when it was used for ceremony and ritual during those periods of the equinox or the solstice.
Wow, dude, what a call, man. The Serpent Mound, is that the one in Ohio, yeah?
Yes.
And that's I remember finding out about that. That's a gobsmacking moment the first time you find out about that place.
Right, and then how long it goes. And then near that, I guess for my second want of time travel would be that Coloca pyramid in St. Louis area in the Ohio River Valley. It's the largest earthen pyramid in the world, and allegedly at the top of it, it was like a 2 mile square like city that was at the top of this earthen pyramid. So those would be my two choices.
Nice.
I like it.
Right, Scotty, give us yours.
I would like to go back 5 minutes before the Great Flood so I can see what the earth was like right before it happened and what actually happened. I think that would
But
be
at what
absolute-
elevation?
Well, like I said, I'd go right before. And hey, you know, I'm assuming if I have the ability to time travel, I have the ability to hover above any space I choose in that location, so I can just observe from the sky and see what happened. But I would like to see what actually happened during the Great Flood and what Earth was like before the Great Flood, and if there was a Atlantean civilization or whatever before that was wiped out. I think that would be very, very interesting to check out. And I would also maybe for my second choice, can my second choice kind of be kind of like multiples?
Of course.
I would like to go back to every significant event that occurred in various religious texts. So I would like to go and see what actually happened when Moses, you know, did his thing, got the 10 Commandments, all that good stuff. I would like to pop in and see what Jesus was doing. I would like to pop in and see what was going on with the Nephilim and all of that activity. Those are the kind of events that I would like to go and witness for myself if I had the ability to go back and look. Maybe even go back and see what was going on in the skies that was written down in the Mahabharata, right, in the Indian texts. I would like to witness whatever that battle was occurring in the skies over the planet at the time. Yeah, I think those are the things that I would go back and want to actually see, you know.
You're just getting greedy now, Scott.
Yeah.
And what about our captain if he was to change direction of the starship douche canoe?
Oh,
We're
the
in
USS
space
douche
and
canoe,
time.
my friend. I think Nacy. You know, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to make a Photoshop of that this weekend. Johnny's inspired me with the spaceship graphic there. I think the four of us is going to look pretty good in Star Trek type gear, and we'll commandeer a spaceship off the internet, or we'll put it into After Effects since we can play about in there now. You know, and we'll get some kind of some themed stuff going on. I like that. But where would I go? Well, I've had to shift my hotspot or my position on the timeline that I've often thought I'd like to go and visit. It's always been the pyramids. Always had been, and I thought it always would be. And it's
Good
not,
one.
Yeah, it's not that I've like, I mean, I could pick that for one. I'll take that one in, because everyone would like to see what really went on there. But in more recent times, I have to admit, it might sound a little bit out there, and it might even sound like the type of thing that I wasn't really all that much talking about up until I came into contact with our friend Donnie. And with Donnie having such strong recollections of me and him spending time here in the past in various other forms, I think I would have to, if somebody said, well, you've got 2 shots of this machine, Kev, I'd want to go back to that first time me and Donnie were here. I don't want to revisit that time where it all went wrong when I'm French and all that horrible stuff. I want to go back like maybe 80,000 years, when there was some kind of, shall we say, visitation from other planets going on and things got started. It's like a really personal one, but it's because I know I can't quieten my mind down to the point where I could ever get regressed. And if I ever try to do it, my imagination takes over. So I'd literally need to somehow physically go and witness that to really know exactly what was going on. But then let's go something different, and I'll throw it out the other way before we kind of shift gears and go into other squirrely type rabbit holes and things. I don't think from memory, since we came back from the break, maybe I'm wrong, nobody's looked the other way. Nobody's gone like 1,000 years into the future, right? Yeah, you know, like, what do you think? I think that would be a really kind of weird exercise, right?
I'd like to share my extrapolation of time travel. And I am the stupidest entity that I know.
No, because you know me.
But,
so no, you're the second stupidest entity that you know.
But to ponder the ability of traveling time, where you think of, the different dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension, this moment to this moment, in the microcosm and the macrocosm, such a change has occurred. On the macrocosm, the Earth just traveled a couple thousand miles around the sun and spun at the same time. So to create a device that would be able to use the algorithms of predicting where the Earth is going to be at this moment to this moment, to have that in such precision, I find it very hard with the technological sharing that we're in right now to travel in time. However, if we had the ability to go back in time, I would think that they would create a ring or a point of reference on the planet. And this is where I believe that if they are finding portals around the world, that it's kind of like the whole Stargate, where because of that reference point being on the Earth for 1 million years, then I think we would have the ability to travel back in time and potentially forward in time. But I would have to state that once we go forward or backwards, the ability to go back to where we originated gets further and further to be attained, because of every moment going back and forth, we are manipulating the timeline just by being within that timeline, since we don't belong there, unless we have the whole time loop of, well, yes, we were supposed to be there in the future because that was the direction of where we were heading at this moment to the future. So the paradox is constant. So there's
you have to deal with all of those. You have to deal with all of those, time travel paradoxes, right? And now my belief is that we eventually are going to achieve time travel, but the caveat to that is that when you do it, you're creating another timeline. You're not affecting the timeline that you're leaving, right? You're essentially creating another timeline, and so that's why you're never going to really ever be able to have an effect on that timeline, right? Because look, if we do achieve time travel and we have the ability to go in the past and change things, how come everything is still screwed up right now, right? Wouldn't everything be fixed right? Wouldn't somebody have come back and fixed a lot of the problems that are currently going on right now?
You could argue it the other way, though, couldn't you? You could say that we're in this mess because people have been coming back and it's made tweaks to whatever the divine timeline was meant to be.
That could be a possibility.
It's both ways, eh?
You know, yeah, maybe they came back and screwed things up. I mean,
Scott,
who knows?
you know what we know? You know what I think we can prove, guys? I can prove something to us here, right? I can prove something about time travel in our lifetime. I am confident enough to say that they won't ever create commercial, right? We don't even know if it's a thing yet, and I'm going for commercial time travel. So this is like a really safe bet, right? But you'll like where I go with this, okay? You'll like it. Because if they were to create time travel on a commercial scale, or even if I got like taken in my sleep on one of these fictional projects that you hear about on YouTube, and I got taken into a lab and they fired me into a time machine, and I somehow sussed out the controls, right? We've talked about this on a show before, Scott, and they say, I think it was a previous Freaky Friday, but again, it's one of those conversations where it was like a slow burner, and I had to go away and think about it, and I was thinking, wow, deep time stuff. But I know for a fact it can't come into being in my lifetime, because 18-year-old Kev doesn't remember having a conversation with an older version of Kev. Do you feel me? Do you get where I'm coming from here? Because I'm definitely, one place I'm going is I'm going back to have a word with younger me. Do you know what I'm saying? So to that end, the fact I never had that chance meeting with older Kev from the future, I'm confident this version of me is never going time traveling. See, I'll leave it open with the version of me as well. So there might be another 18-year-old Kev out there on a different timeline who did have a weird cup of coffee one day. And not a shop called Starbucks. Maybe it's called Tarbucks. I don't know. It's on a different timeline, but maybe it did happen. Because when you get into the quantum world, you can just explode people's minds, or usually I explode my own by thinking, well, if there are many worlds, and like Scott says, there's all these branches, and every decision, every thought, every second, you're creating new branches here, there, everywhere, everyone doing it, everything, every time, every day. It gets mind-blowing, right? So there's a potential for everything to be happening out there, where there's time travel on some timelines. You see where I'm going? It's weird.
Let me throw this out there. What if we do get the ability to, we end up having the ability to time travel?
We steal the flux capacitor.
But one of the things is that you simply can't change. You can only observe, right? So we're talking about a permanent record that's written that you can scrub through and look at, but you can't edit, right? You can't go in and change anything, but you can travel around and see.
I would still take that. I would still take that version. That'd be cool.
Google Portal.
Yeah, like the chronovisor, only a physical chronovisor type event.
You have your headset on.
You mean like a UFO? Like we see a UFO now. Maybe somebody like building the pyramid might look up and go, look, light in the sky. But really, it's just us taking a journey in our little time machine.
And on our left, we have the Great Pyramids. See how the...
Yep.
And so then that goes into kind of what we were discussing during the break, right? Astral travel, remote viewing and things like that. I mean, those people who have that ability to do things like that, they're essentially observing, right? They're not changing.
Okay, so let's move into that realm then, and let me ask you first of all: do you think everyone has the ability? Everyone's brain has inbuilt the capacity to be telepathic, to remote view, telekinetic, or do you think it's just maybe a couple of people that get those, let's call them powers, right? Just for lack of a better term. What do you think? Do you think it's just a built-in part of the brain, and maybe some of us can do it, some of us can't, or is it just a few that get it?
Everyone.
Yeah, I think everybody has that ability, at some level, but I think it's dormant. It used to be much stronger, and people had the ability to tap into that. But in our current, modern society, I think a lot of that has been suppressed. But I think it still manifests in some people that just have that ability, and it really breaks through, and you have those individuals that just have that ability to do that. And no, I mean, I think it's something that we all at one point were able to do, and that we were able to tap into. You talk about people that say that they have observed or contacted or whatever, or received messages from ancestors in the past somehow, or we're able to observe something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's a form of time travel. I mean, our brains are just a wet, spongy quantum computer. And so you talk about time on the quantum level. Time doesn't even really exist on the quantum level. Going to what Johnny was talking about in the article, right? They said that the answer could lie in quantum physics and stuff like that. So, and it's interesting you bring up, Kev, right? Like the movies and the TV shows. The Loki show is kind of exploring that possibility. But when you look at the Marvel Universe movies, right, you have Ant-Man, and Ant-Man plays a major role in the whole Avengers Endgame thing, right? Because he has the ability to shrink himself down. And here we go, right? What are they talking about? In Johnny's article there, they were talking about, well, you have to shrink things down, or things have to be shrunk down to the, nano level or whatever. And how does Ant-Man time travel? He shrinks himself down to the and he goes into the quantum realm, and he's able to slip through time and all of that stuff. And that was kind of the major plot of Avengers, of the whole Avengers thing, for them to go back and collect the time stones, so that they can, or to collect the Infinity Stones so they can stop Thanos and all of that stuff. So it does kind of seem like, Hollywood or these movies are maybe kind of telling us little things that are actually being explored in the scientific realm when it comes to time travel. So,
what's your favorite time travel movie, guys? Sorry, Nathan.
Oh.
On you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, Johnny, with the bloodline that you have, what ability of that was shared? If you would divulge that to the listening audience, do you have the telekinesis, any of the special wonders of the world, Mr. Whistles? Invisibility.
Favorite time travel movies?
I think Johnny's fallen through a time portal. See, he's not answering. He's refusing to answer because he knows that the St. Clairs will send an assassin out of the castle.
Right.
That's what it is. He's just ignoring that question, aren't you, John?
Yeah. You just got a message that said, "Do not say anything."
Actually, I was thinking about the Templars there and setting them free.
Oh.
In the world.
I like that. Well, since you brought that up and we're almost on the break, Anne would like me to throw in her when she would go to. And it's no surprise for me. She wants to go. She wants to take a tour around that island. You know it. Not Speculation Island. The island. Oak Island. Oh. Wow. Good shout. Good shout.
That's a good one. Go back and see what they were burying.
How far back do you think you might need to go? A lot further than we think, I suspect. That's all I'm saying.
That's the problem, Kev. We don't have a specific date to go back to.
We'll take an extra flux capacitor and we'll just do laps or whatever you need to do. We'll do quantum loops until we arrive at a time when there's activity, right?
I would say around 1250.
Yeah, I may even go back further. I'm thinking earlier with Vikings and things. And listen, there's probably civilizations that we've never even heard of. Maybe they were there. I will be back after these short messages. Don't go anywhere. You like that timing? See, when it's going out for the break, I've got it like to the T, but no. No. Coming back in, not so
coming
good.
Back in. Yeah, coming back in the going live sticker is...
It's become our shtick though, right? Even when I do suss it out, I'm still not going to tell anyone because I think it's quite funny. I do think it's a bit of a shtick, and it probably gives people a laugh at home. Oh, those guys again, look at them. Those crazy rascals. So while we're on the break, let's do it then. Favorite time travel movie, Scotty?
I mean, am I just gonna have to be the cheesy one here and
or
just
TV show, just a widen or a book or something to do with time travel?
Time travel, man.
You're gonna go for the obvious one, are you?
Yeah, I might have to go for the obvious just because it has the childhood nostalgia for me.
You've got the Marty McFly happening, dude.
Yeah. Well, we'll do some Back to the Future. I know. It's the obvious, but
that's okay. Whistles. Anyone come to mind for you? Any time travel TV show or movie or anything like that?
That's a hard one, Kev, because the only one I've seen is like Back to the Future.
Yeah, there's that one. You've got the 12 Monkeys type one going on as well. A TV show I liked, and then I'll get Nacy's one, but I can't get away from the whole Travelers. That was a show that was on. I think there's been 2 or 3 seasons, but they're coming back from the future to fix what's going on now, and it's all done when they jump into the spacesuit of somebody just when they're about to be deceased. And because they're in the future, they know the exact time, the exact place, the exact split second to go in there, and shouting "Quantum Leap" in the background. She wants her Sam. She's won a bit of Sam. It's a classic. So what do you think, Nacy? What one for you, man?
My classic one would be the very first short story I wrote in elementary school for English.
How cute.
It was a time traveling mirror where a young adult went through the mirror back into dinosaur times, and being chased by a dinosaur, he went over a cliff to stay on a ledge where he was stuck there, and he wrote in his diary his experience of why he's there in time if they find his information in the future.
Luna has offered us the Time Traveler's Wife. Anne likes that one. We've got Faith coming in with Time Bandits.
Oh, yes. Time Bandits.
Yeah. See, this is good fun.
Wasn't there a movie just called Time Machine?
The
moon.
The remake.
Destroyed. Yeah. That was a good one.
The original H.G. Wells, the classic one of the 68.
Yeah, and you've got I mentioned 12 Monkeys and Bruce Willis in the movie, but the recent TV show, I say recent, it was a few years ago now, but that was like a CERN type particle accelerator, and they would jump in the chair and come in and go in, and there just happened to be a really bad cough. Yeah, there just happened to be a really bad cough going around at the time when that was all set. Hey, listen, it is what it is. We're going to come back to the network before I get us kicked off of here. So listen, let's do it, ladies and gents.
2.3 seconds.
You see how I steered and navigated away from that black hole? Woof, we're back. We are live. Final segment of today's Freaky Friday. Now, I don't know if we're still on the same. Well, we're definitely not on the same, but I don't know if we're on the same timeline that we started on today, because this has been It's always awesome. But Nacy, Scotty, I'll get your thoughts on this. For me personally, it's been an extra bit of woo sauce with our Whistler sitting down there in the spaceship, right? I've enjoyed it with the Whistler. So what do you reckon, Nacy, Scotty? Definitely good fun.
If I would have to share another time travel experience,
are you not even going to say you enjoyed Whistler being on with us? That's pesky,
well,
dude. That was lousy. That one, wasn't it?
Wait, let me finish.
No,
please.
you're not getting out of it that easy. Come on, John. John, get the airlock.
I would go back 5 minutes before the show and assist in the connection of Johnny earlier.
Well, that's probably on me because Whistles doesn't know that I'm an absolute streamaholic. So what I do now on a Friday is I stream for 3 hours before Freaky Friday to get warmed up and to get the audience warmed up. And well, I don't know. It's like my full stream day Friday, the long form live streaming. It's like I'm almost giving that Kevin McKiernan back in the day. Remember the length of stream Unirock would do, Scotty? I'm telling you, dude, I'm getting back up there with these guys now. So raising the game, man, raising the game.
When I received the message that Mr. Whistles was going to bless us with his presence, I was definitely excited to hear that news. So I say anytime, Mr. Whistles, it's always an enjoyment to have you here.
What was that?
I think some robots in the room.
Oh, I hear some bolts and things getting blown around back there, man.
Shotgun!
Whoa! He warns us with that one. I like it. Dang, dude.
Is the Terminator robots coming after Mr. Sinclair right now?
Hasta la vista, baby.
I wasn't expecting that. I think I'll be stealing that one.
Speaking of time travel movies, that was brought up in the chat as well. Terminator, that's a classic, right?
There you go, man. Yeah.
And Terminator. And
somebody in the chat room. So on you go, Scott.
No, I was just gonna say it's been awesome to have Whistles back on, man. You know, he hasn't been on in a while, and then he just comes in and drops the time travel woo on us, just like body slams it.
There's
just
another one.
Right in.
Yep, Time Cop. Remember that one, Whistles? That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. This has been awesome. And somebody mentioned in the chat room along the line of time, it's really kind of, I've not heard this been talked about in a long while. And it's like, this is like part of like time travel lore, really, when you think about it. But the very interesting case and story of a particular John Teeter. Remember that whole story about the John Teeter, the time traveler?
Speaking of John Teeter, my little brother, I think he was telling me something. Today was supposed to be a significant day in the whole John Teeter saga.
You kidding me on? You go, right, wait a minute. John Teeter. Let's see.
I don't know. Look it up. I don't know if he was talking about John Teeter, but he was like, hey, there was like some time traveler dude, and today was supposed to be some big day or something. And I was like, was it John Teeter? And I was like, maybe. I don't know. You'll have to look it up, but
I'm not sure. But listen, for maybe there's people, because I always like to think there's new people. John Teeter is a pseudonym used on several bulletin boards during 2000 and 2001 by a poster claiming to be an American military time traveler from the year 2036. Teeter made numerous vague and specific predictions regarding calamitous events in 2004 and beyond, including a really hot and warm nuclear war. Inconsistencies in his explanations, the uniform inaccuracy of his predictions, and a private investigator's findings all led to the general impression that the entire episode was an elaborate hoax. Or was it a law for people? Or just was it? It says a 2009 investigation concluded that Teeter was likely the creation of Larry Haber, a Florida entertainment lawyer, along with his mother, Moray, a computer scientist. Now, the last time I had heard of anything about John Teeter was on Clyde Lewis's show. and he was talking to a lawyer of the family of the real, like the physical John Teeter. Because remember, this cat's only coming back from 2036. So when he arrived in the year 2000, he was a young child. He was on this timeline. So look, I don't know. 99% I'm leaning towards it's like hocus pocus, but there's still part of me that keeps an open mind to just what if John Teeter was a time traveler? Nobody's going to go there with me, are you? You're not going to go there, no.
No. Look, dude, the John Teeter thing was always something that had fascinated me, and it was like one of the, I would say, one of the first things that really like caught my attention when I like was listening to Coast to Coast AM a lot, right? Because they were following the John Teeter thing big time back when when that was all happening, and I was just like, whoa, you know. I mean, whether it's fake or not, I mean, who knows?
Mandela, it's
I mean,
harmless. You're not going to harm anyone, having a
lot of the predictions never came to fruition, and whatever, some kind of maybe did. Yeah, but I mean, think about it, Kev. How easy is it to just kind of what do you say, game something out and make a general prediction of the future? And you're gonna get in the ballpark a lot of the times just by looking at patterns and kind of seeing how things are gonna
cycles, right? If you can read the cycles, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's why he was hit and miss on a lot of his stuff. He was just kind of taking the information he had at hand and was like, all right, let me game plan it, and it might play out, it might not, whatever. But who knows? But there's the thing though, Kev, like you said, there's that little thing in the back of your mind that goes, what if he really was?
Romantic conspiratorial story.
Yeah, what if it really did? What if you really did?
Was it? But then that Mulder says, "I want to believe."
But then that also goes into the time paradox thing, though, Kev.
Yeah, so big time, dude. Big time. There's holes in it. Big time for sure.
Yeah, but what if I was gonna say, what if he did come back, but he's on our timeline and he's telling us about stuff that happened on his timeline?
There you go. It kind of it could go to lending weight to what you've been saying.
But then, like they're talking on the new Loki series, and with the movie Time Cop, there would have to be some authoritative entity out there to make sure we just don't. Here on Earth, we have the tendency of really screwing things up. Really screwing things up without thinking clearly.
Well, listen, I've heard a lot of wacky stories about where all people disappear to. I'm not just talking about woods and forests and things, but I'm talking about missing people everywhere, right? What if they're variants? What if some of them are variants that have been picked up because they shouldn't be on this timeline? Silence. Mic drop. Mic drop. There we go. I'm not saying all of them, obviously, but it only takes one, right?
The MIB is coming to say, hey.
It only takes one teeter to open the wormhole.
Do you have a permit to be in this timeline?
There you go, dude.
I'm doing some looking on some of Teeter's, biggest predictions. And there's one very interesting one here, but I'm not going to get into it because it is not algorithm friendly. But let's just say something has been happening past.
Yeah, it ties in with the times, yeah. But again, then you could offer up, that's one of those ballpark things you could stick to the wall, right? It's like pizza.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's like slices of pizza. One's eventually going to stick.
And he said it would be prevalent and still occurring all the way till 2036. So that's kind of interesting.
There you go. There you go. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to argue with that. Not the way things are looking right now. It's weird, it's wacky, it's Freaky Friday. And Nacy, before I hand it to you, let me remind everyone, if you're enjoying this, it doesn't stop here. It truly doesn't, because I know for a fact if you like Freaky Friday, there's no way in the world, unless you've got somewhere physically to be, and even if you do, you can still take it if you've got a mobile device. Now, I'm not shilling for Big Brother, but when you can take that mobile device and turn it into a portal between you and the woo, almost a paranormal portal that you can take with you. Well, you can tune into Brent Thomas right after we finish today. And that was better than my last week using the lube to get people ready for the paranormal portal, they say, right?
Well, it was
Slightly.
it was a challenge. It was a challenge today when I talked to you earlier, and you were telling me about taking a bath and the vision of such a vertical challenge individual having the feeling that a regular bathtub is an Olympic-sized swim.
Oh boy, now hang on. I see Whistles is still moving, so I think Nacy has actually perfected the flux capacitor mix. He's got just the right amount of oxygen, hydrogen, and unobtainium going in there. You see what happens? This is what happens on Freaky Friday, Whistles. Look at the effect you have, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's awesome, dude. I like it. Scott Lopez, whatever happened to the one potential time machine me and you had discovered that was working in Australia? Remember Apex TV down under? You Australians, you like a bit of a time LARP, you lot down there, let me tell you.
Okay, look, this is the thing. Apex TV was like the official sort of what do they call it? It's the terminal, right? You know how you have your airport terminal and you come flying in and you officially check in and all that stuff. Apex TV was the official time travel terminal.
Will we take a listen then? Will we take a listen, Scott? Will we take a listen to a man who has traveled to the year 2300? 2300. We're talking like 200 years in the future here plus. But Gerald Garner is his name. And time travel is his claim. Oh my God.
Oh, here we go. Let's see.
Come on, Gerald. This is his story. It's coming, ladies and gents. Don't worry.
Am I back in the timeline?
Yes.
Now wait a minute. Why is this not playing? Well, this is weird. Hold on. Let's see if I can get it playing. Okay. Right, that's not working.
You see, Kev, you mocked the time traveler.
Oh, dude, this is like weird. Hang on, I'll try and get another one. Let's see if we can get the guy from. Let's see. It's been a while since I've done time traveling, dudes.
I like how you have just a random cornucopia of time travelers to choose from, right?
And they've all got their faces blanked out. Because nobody wants to sit and watch somebody they went to school with claiming that they're a time traveler, right? The time traveler has been to the year 4413. Please work. Trying what's happened there with this volume. This is his story. It's not working either.
Well, you
Something
know, if you came out publicly, if you came out publicly that you could travel through time, don't you think some alphabet agency would try to find you?
Stop worrying about them, you. Come on, we're having fun without them. The alphabet agency of choice is the TVA. That's who's after us tonight. The NSA are too busy listening to Tucker Carlson. Newsflash, Tucker. Newsflash, welcome to being American. I think you'll find they listen to all of you, my friend. But hey, don't let Ed Snowden letting the cat out the bag in 2013 getting in the way of your LARPing, because we all love a good LARP nowadays.
Speak about time travel, Donald Rumsfeld.
Yeah,
I can't believe we forgot to bring that up.
I'm trying to figure out here why this ain't working. Let me see. Open sound settings. I think I've sussed it, guys. Maybe. Browser.
If you need to shoot me the link, I can.
Yeah, okay, I'll go back to the original guy then, because you can play the link. He was a better one.
I think Johnny needs to take a shoot at that computer.
Let's see it. 2 seconds, Scott. I'm just getting over to Skype here. I've got a bajillion windows open. There you go, dude. There you go.
All right, let's see. Let's see how this goes. We'll load it up here.
Unless maybe like time travel. Maybe the time travel police have came and removed the audio.
Okay, are you ready?
That's what it is.
Let's give it a try.
Go for it.
Can you hear it?
It's working.
Okay. This is his story.
Big Gerard.
My name is Gerald Gardner. And I have a story to tell you.
Turn it up to 1.25 speed, dude.
I have been to the future. My story begins in the year 1977, when I began working for the British government. I moved up the ranks, and by 10 years later, the year 1988, I was deemed the best candidate for an experimental technology. A technology that had not been tested before. I was to be the first one.
Turn him off. Turn him off.
I'm having such a hard time listening to
Exactly, dude. It's because he's got to change his voice because he's like done that many videos as other time travelers in the past. You know what I'm saying? He changes his mask every week. And I mean, maybe it is the one working time machine in the world and it sits in Australia. I don't know. But when you're getting like 300,000 views on one video, there's another video I've seen on there's got something like 13 million views. That's an incentive to keep coming back with time travelers, be they fake, real, or otherwise. Let me tell you, there's a bit of incentive.
Sound like he came straight out of Mighty Python.
Maybe he did.
What's that? A real person?
That's a real person, Johnny. Have you never? No. Listen, let me remind you. Right, there's a channel called Apex TV. That's what this cat here looks like. And I know you can't see my screen right now, John, but maybe if you've got YouTube open, you'll see it. This character.
Oh my God. Plausible denial from the whistles. We know it's you whistles.
It's you whistles. But if you come over here, you've got time traveler here, you got time travelers here. Then you got one asking, is time travel possible? Face reveal. Noah the time traveler finally unveils himself. Rapper claims to be from another universe. Time traveler took a picture of a dinosaur. Why he's got to be wearing gloves, I don't know. Another blacked out time traveler. Maybe there is, like the time cops are like, maybe we're making fun of something and we just misunderstand this. Maybe literally you could get deleted from the timeline if you get caught, guys. I'm only joking. Come on, man.
Whoever worked on his silicone mask needs to do a much better job. I'm just saying. I mean, if he's supposed to be out there acting like this, like old guy or whatever, it's not.
So
it's not working.
Do we think he's hiding from time cops, or do we think he's hiding from people that have known him all his life and would say, "Hang on a minute, Jim. Hey, Dave, you're at it. You're not a time traveler." I don't know. Maybe I'm too skeptical.
His wife is an obsessive makeup artist.
Hey, maybe it's another version of John Teeter. Maybe he just like splinters off into other personalities. Who knows? It's that wacky time of Freaky Friday. Whistles. Have you enjoyed yourself, man? Have you enjoyed this nostalgic trip down Woo memory lane?
Yeah, I have, Kev. I've actually missed it. Just tonight on the show is actually showing me how much I've missed it. So it's great speaking to you all.
He says as he's sitting somewhere that looks like a spaceship. It's great speaking to you all. I'm expecting him to bloody put on the pulse engines in a minute. Engage! He looks like Picard. You know what I'm saying?
He does.
That
Exactly.
UNSC is the United Sinclair Club.
Well, you know what, Johnny? Is that one of the craft that Gary Sinclair, the Scottish boy, is that one of the ones he was like looking at back in the day? Remember he hacked into the NASA and the Pentagon? Well, he didn't hack. They had the password, right? But I think that's one of the ships that he was talking about, dude. You've commandeered it. I'm just expecting Whistles to like start calling out like navigation, like.
Let's head for Alpha Centauri. Warp 8, Johnny Whistles. Warp 8. Engage!
That's what's gonna happen, man.
Whistles commandeered the ship that the what was it, non-terrestrial officers.
Nice, yeah.
Nice,
nice name drop. A nice kind of shout out there to Gary McKinnon. You know, that's a dude that really interests me. I'd love to sit down with him and have a conversation. Not even on air. You know, on air would be epic, right? He does YouTube still, actually, Gary. I don't think he talks much about this, as you would when you were probably facing 80 years in a chain gang for whatever you might have seen, you know? So it doesn't surprise me he doesn't really talk about that period of his life as much. Maybe he does. But that's a story, isn't it, that really... There's a lot to that. I mean, when you look at the way the American government pursued him, if nothing else, it's got to make you think, well, you know, that's a bit extreme for just hacking a computer if you didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely, Kit.
I was worrying, John, when they were talking about sending him over there. You know, I don't think he would have been the type of character, you know, to be able to handle the American prison system. And it wasn't like a couple of months they were threatening him with. It was like the rest of his life.
That's right.
Yep. And then we had a load of musicians. They stepped up to the plate. They raised awareness about that. That was a big thing back in the day. Big thing.
Yeah, and like you said, Kev, I mean, if if it was such a kooky thing that he was talking about, right? You know, non-terrestrial officers and a lot of this sort of, you know, why did they take what he did so seriously? You know, it makes you wonder. And you know, I think this also kind of gets into the whole topic of like breakaway civilization, secret space program, and a lot of that kind of activity that is going on. And you know, I mean, who knows? I mean, I maybe he looked at a lot of the stuff that they were doing, or saw a lot of the things that they were doing, and you know, this is what, like pre-Space Force and all of that stuff. Maybe he was kind of looking into a lot of the groundwork that was being set for a lot of this stuff, and they didn't like that, you know. I don't know.
A good story though. I like, again, like a lot of the stuff we've touched on tonight. It's been like really, really, really. I don't know. I've enjoyed, like Whistle says. You know, you've been away for so long, Whistles. We had that show with you a couple of months ago, and we thoroughly enjoyed that. And it's true, you know, when you think back, you don't realise how much we've missed the Whistles. You know, we've kept going, we've kept crushing out the content, but it's when you get Whistles back, then you appreciate, you think back, wow, good times, dude. So this has been awesome tonight, man. And listen, you know, anytime you're needing a fresh topping up of the woo, you know where we are on a Friday, dude. You know where we are. Yeah. And listen,
I'll be back on a Friday, Kev. Definitely.
You do that, dude. And only when you are feeling good for it. Now, I don't want you staying up purposely late at night, John. None of that nonsense, okay?
I can't sleep anyway.
Well, that could help. That could help a Freaky Friday. But Scotty,
you can find Johnny Whistles on Facebook too.
Facebook. It's a website of many names, right? None of them nice.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook.
Good stuff. Contact Whistles there. Scotty, over to you, man. I've said way more than enough.
No, I mean, it was awesome to have Whistles back, like I said, and you know, anytime you're feeling up to it, man, you know, don't ever feel pressured to come on if you ain't feeling good, you know. But when you're feeling good to come on and get, like Kev said, get topped off with the woo, you know, we're always here, and it's always great to have you on, man. It's been a blast, man. And yeah, you know,
Whistles, I'm gonna have a car again soon, dude. I'm gonna have a car. I'll come and get you. We'll go out at night. We'll do some UFO spotting, man.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. But take us out, Nacy.
Come back again next time we're together. Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. Love you, Mr. Whistles. Toodles.
Much love to the Whistler. Much love to everyone. Stay tuned wherever you are. Make it TFR. Don't touch that dial. There we go. There we go. See, I'm forgetting Whistles is here to say, did he touch that dial? Dang, dude. Damn, man.
That's okay.
Now, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. What I'll do is, right, give me a second here before we leave. Let me try something. I want to try something real quick. So if I do that, press that and press that. And I tell you, Whistles, to give me your very best, didn't touch that dial when I count down to 1. Would you do that for me?
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a 3 to 1, right? 3, 2, 1.
Didn't touch that dial. Didn't touch that dial.
Ah, yes, I've got it on the soundboard. It's saved. It's saved. Now, when I go out from KBS on a weeknight, I'll say, wherever you are, make it TFR and...
Didn't touch that dial.
Boom! Get in there, man. I like it. I like it. You like that, guys?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's nostalgia, the creation of nostalgia right there.
Right there, right there. There's never been anyone like the Whistler to say that. It's his catchphrase. It's been his Freaky Friday. It's been your Freaky Friday. It's been awesome. Remember, stay tuned. Well, not here. You can't stay tuned on this channel. You'll need to jump over now. We're off TFR. You need to go over onto Brent Thomas's Paranormal portal or head to tfrlive.com. Tune in radio. Paranormal radio app. I almost gave it a network. We're not even on there. That would have been an amateur hour. yeah, amateur hour. No shocker there. So listen, I want to thank Scotty, Nacy, and of course, Mr. Whistles and all of you. Remember what we say around here. Not that, but it works. Tonight it works, right? Keep
Who
your
knows
mind
what will happen?
open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.
Come on, man. Excuse me, it's ma'am. Are you serious?
How dare you?
Do not forget to like, share, or comment.
And the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat.
Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew.
Genetically modified.
Genetic engineering.
Today's show.
Well, today's show is dedicated to General Major Bakshi. Major General, even. He's a General Major, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the moon, a very, very disturbed sounding Elvis on the wah-wah pedal.
Wow.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow.